ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our Saturday morning session once again. And last time we talked about education system in ancient India. And today we will talk about, the oldest language in the world and the most scientific language in the world called Sanskrit. So let us talk about Sanskrit today. It's a fascinating language which we will learn as we move forward. There is no language older than Sanskrit known to mankind today. This is the oldest and the most scientific language in the world. It is actually made of two words, Sam plus Krit. That means Sanskrit. Sam means perfectly well balanced, and Krit means completed or executed. So it's the most perfectly executed language in the world. And that is why it is also called Devvani, because this language, as we will see it further down, cannot be actually created by human mind. It requires a superhuman mind to create a language like Sanskrit. And that is why people call it Devvani. We will go into the structure of the language, but fundamentally it contains 52 letters, 16 vowels and 36 consonants. Now this is the maximum number of letters and maximum number of consonants, vowels any language has in the world. I have examined the structure of several languages, and I did not find 16 vowels and 36 consonants in any language so far. Hungarian language is the closest to this, which has 14 vowels and approximately 28 or 30 consonants. Now, Sanskrit has 10 tenses, which is extremely, unusual, because most languages in the world has about 5 or 6 tenses. Sanskrit had 10. They are called lakar. That is the word used for tenses in Sanskrit. Then it has, numbers, that is singular, dual, and plural. These are three numbers, 1, 2, and more. Most languages has singular and plural. There is no dual in between. It has duality there. And then it has three persons. Most languages have the first person and the third person. It has first person, second person, and third person. So because of these detailed prescriptions of the language, this language is considered the most precise language in the world in terms of expression. Because the more precision you give, the more detailed the language has to be. And that is why this language is extremely precise when it comes to expressions. Every verb is called dhatu in Sanskrit. So every verb has 90 variations. I will explain how those 90 variations are later on. And every noun has 24 variations. That is the what you call expansion of this language in order to express your views in a very precise manner. Now, first we will examine the origin of these 52 letters, how they originated. There is a very detailed scientific theory about the origin of these letters, and let us see those. Now 16 vowels. they actually originates from the Visuddha chakra. You know, Visuddha chakra is the throat chakra in our body. When we discussed about chakra, we examined different chakras. The sound which comes from our body is actually directly linked to the chakras. When we speak, when we have feelings inside and we want to speak and express our views, how those sounds come? Those sounds are originating from the chakras. When I want to talk to you now, I have some ideas in my mind. I have to express those ideas in terms of words. Then I have to create a sound. That sound comes from the chakras. So the Visuddha chakra has 16 petals, and the 16 vowels of Sanskrit language, they come from Visuddha chakra. You can see it is here: A, A, E, E, U, U, Ri, Ri, A, I, O, Au, Ang, A. All these uh, things are coming directly from the Visuddha chakra. So this is the most scientific way in which this language has been constructed. Then let's go to the next one, origin of consonants. Now consonants, there are, as we discussed, 36 consonants. The 12 of those 36, they originate from Anahat chakra. Anahat chakra is the heart chakra, which is in the middle of our, where the two lungs depart. When we do our meditation, we talk about Anahat chakra. So it has 12 petals. This chakra has 12 petals. And the 12, what you call, consonants of Sanskrit language, they originate from Anahat chakra. Ka, kha, ga, gha, na, cha, cha, ja, ja, na, ta, tha. This is directly linked to Anahat chakra. Then we come to 10 consonants coming from Manipur chakra. Manipur is in the navel area, that is the Manipur chakra, just behind the navel. And Swadhisthana is below that, just above our sense of procreation. So this is going from Visuddha down to Anahat, then down to Manipur, then going to Swadhisthana, and then it will go to Muladhara. So it is going downwards, the chakras. And this is how the consonants, 10 consonants are originating from Manipur chakra. That is after ta, tha, da, dha, na, ta, tha, da, dha, na, pa, fa. So this Manipur chakra has 10 petals, and this gives birth to 10 consonants. And Swadhisthana chakra has 6 petals, and it gives to the next 6 consonants, birth to the next 6 consonants. Then it has come pa, fa, then ma, ye, re, lavva. This is bha, ma, ye, re, lavva. These are the 6 consonants originating from Swadhisthana chakra, which is just below the navel, above the sense of procreation, and that is the place of Swadhisthana chakra. Then the 4 alphabets, they originate from Muladhara. We know where the Muladhara is. These 4 alphabets are Sha, Se, Sha, Va. These are originating from Muladhara. And then the 2 alphabets, Ha and She, they originate from Agya chakra, which is right at Brakuti. And there are 2 mixed consonants in that is Tre and Ge. These are mixed consonants in our uh, alphabet. So these are 36 consonants and the 12 vowels. We have seen how they originate. They originate starts from the, the Visuddha chakra, which is at the throat, which is the also the chakra which gives rise to the sounds. So the 16 vowels are the vowels of the sound. These are the basic sounds. And these sounds are already there in the consonants. For example, when you say ka, the sound as a is always there. Ka, a is always there inside it. So, for example, we say ka, the sound of a is always there inside. So all these vowels are actually the foundation of consonants. The consonants is just adding little bit shape to the vowel to create a different sound. But basic sounds originate from vowels, which are 16, and the maximum in any language in the world. English only has 6 vowels, for example, A, E, I, O, U, and some say Y, so that is the only sounds they have. Any other languages, if you know of, you would realize that none of them has 16 basic sounds, and that gives perfection to Sanskrit language. The fundamental sounds are far more than any other language in the world. Now you will see here, even the sounds of consonants and the vowels is highly systematic. For example, K varg. When you speak K varg, you try your tongue and your what you call the part of the mouth, upper part of the mouth, will have a specific place where the tongue will meet. That is ka, kha, ga, kha, na. Then you go to the next one, cha, cha, ja, cha, na. It is slightly further down in the mouth, upper part. So these are, they are called, there are different names, guttural and labial and dental. There are different names for those pronunciations of different consonants. So K varg has a specific sound process where the tongue and the upper part of the mouth meet in a place. Similarly, Che varg has a very different sound process because the meeting place in the mouth of our tongue and the upper part of mouth is different. Similarly, Te varg is little after that, Te, Te, De, De, Ne. And Te varg is further down, Te, Te, De, De, Ne. And Pe varg actually comes on the lips, Pe, Fe, Be, Be, Me. So it starts from the lower part of the mouth, keeps moving upward, and ultimately the Pe varg comes on the lips. So this is a very systematic way of pronouncing the consonants in Sanskrit. Not only that, even the vowels have the similar pronunciation. A, E, U. A, E have one particular place where the tongue and the mouth meet. Then U, Ri, U is another one. Then Ri is next one. I is further down. O is further down. So this is how it is so deeply scientifically designed that we can't even imagine. The person who went into these details, imagine the mind of that person, how he invented these alphabets directly from the chakras and then bringing down to our, speaking level, the speech, how they will be spoken. And the last, two word tre and ge, these are basically the mix of the, two different consonants. Tre is te and re. Tenses which we were talking about in Sanskrit language, they are called lakar, as I mentioned. That is the word in Sanskrit for tenses, lakar. These are the 10 tenses. That is lat lakar, that is present tense. Lot lakar, that is imperative mood. Lang lakar, past tense, vidhi ling lakar, that is potential mood, then lut lakar, that is first future tense, then lat lakar, that is second future tense, ling lakar, that is conditional mood, then arsir ling lakar, that is benedictive mood, then lit lakar, that is past perfect tense, and rung lakar, that is perfect tense. Now, you can examine any language in the world. They will not have all these tenses. These tenses enable you to express yourself in very, very precise way. And that is why Sanskrit is called mathematical language. You don't need to do anything more than using a particular lakar and using a particular structure of the words. You don't have to do anything else. The precision will be there already, particularly for those who understand the language. So let me give you example for this now. This is the verb here is vad. Vad means to speak, to say. That is the verb. There are three numericals, that is ekvachan, dvivachan, bahuvachan, that is singular, dual and plural. And there are three persons, that is the first person, second person and third person. Actually the first person in Sanskrit is called pratham purush. Third person is called pratham purush, second person is called madhyam purush, and the self is called uttam purush. For example, if I say I am saying, so I will say aham vadami. Aham is me, vadami means I say. That is aham vadami. And if I say that Rajesh is saying, then I will say Rajesh vadati. It will be the third person. Rajesh is saying. Rajesh says this. So this is the nine formats of word vad, that is called root verb in Sanskrit. There are nine formats in one single tense. And if you put 10 tenses, that makes 90 different versions of the same word vad. So vad will have 90 different variations here. Let me show you. This is pat. Pat is in the past tense here. Pat means to study or to read. Now, Pratham Purush is actually the third person in Uttam Purush is the self, Madhyam Purush is the you, and third person is called Pratham Purush in Sanskrit, as I mentioned. So if I say Rajesh Apathat means Rajesh read it. Rajesh read it. And if I say Aham Apatam means I read it. So it becomes absolutely clear. And if I say uh, you people read it, then you will say uh, Tvam apat, Tvam apat, you read it. So this is another nine versions of the word pat for one single tense. So if you take all the tenses, 10 tenses together, each root, whether it is pat or vad or gach, will have 90 different forms. Can you imagine any language like that? So scientifically designed and very precision in expression. Now, even the names of the people, even the nouns, all the nouns have 24 variations. These are called vibhakti. So there is ekvachan, that is singular, dvivachan, that is dual, and bahuvachan, that is plural. And then there are 8 vibhaktis depending on how we are introducing the person. If I say this is my book, my will be included in that process already. When you use a particular form of me, it will be included. Gauri Shankar, we will have to use the different format here. Gauri Shankanen, Gauri Shankarai, Gauri Shankanat, like that. So there are 24 variations of vibhaktis. That's a Rama, Ramo, Rama. Ramam, Ramau, Raman, Ramen, Ramabhya, Ramai, Ramai, Ramabhyam, Ramabhya. So all these are denoting what you call the relationship, different relationship which you want to express by using that particular noun. So a language as prolific, which gives you so many options, even if you learn a small part of it, that itself is a big treasure. It's like you have a huge recipe of cuisines and you can grasp a few recipes and you become a great chef. It is exactly the same way. This language has such a profound expression, such a profound detail that you pick up a few out of them. You don't have to pick up everything. You pick up very few out of them and you can become an
And we will
expert
now move
communicator
on
in
to
language.
the other
So
section,
this is
which
the
will deal with
profoundness of Sanskrit. The
astronomy and
Sanskrit,
mathematics.
if you can learn it fully, properly, in perfect way, then you can express yourself mathematically. Now, what is the meaning of that mathematical? You see, the Vedas were written at least, in my view, 10,000 years back in time, at least. But because the language is mathematical, you can interpret Veda
Now
exactly
you
the
can
way they
see
were written
astronomy,
even today, after 10,000 years.
solar system.
If you take English of
I'm
50
sure
years
all of
old
you have,
and you
or at least
interpret
some
that
of you
today,
have
you
Janam
cannot
Patri.
interpret perfectly because
If
there
you
are a lot
go
of
to
changes
the
have
history
happened
of Janam
in
Patri,
that language in the 50 years.
it goes
Look at
back to
Hindi.
thousands of
If
years
you
in
take the
time.
Hindi, what it was 50 years ago, and
I
take it
have
today, you
a Bahi in
cannot
my family here,
interpret
which
it
is at
perfectly
least
because the language has
300
undergone
years old,
substantial changes
which
in
has
the
Janam
last
Patri
50
of
years.
my
So
grandfather
because
and
of
great
these
grandfather.
changes, the interpretation
So that is the
changes as
kind
well.
of
But in
Janam Patri
Sanskrit,
we have.
that does not happen.
Now Janam
Because the
Patri is
language
based
is
on
mathematical,
9
2 plus
planetary
2
positions.
was for
We call them
10,000 years
Navagraha.
ago and it is for today also.
These
But
planets were
the
discovered
meaning
by
of a
our
particular
ancestors
word
long,
in
long time
English
back,
was
when
not the
Europeans
same
had no
100
idea
years ago.
about
It is
this
not the
whole
same today.
planetary system.
It is understood differently.
They thought that the earth was
You
flat
can take any word
and
which
sun
you
is
have in your
revolving around
mind
the earth.
and you will
That was
realize the
their
word meant
presumption till
something else
17th
50 years
century.
ago and it means something different
And
50 years
then,
later.
of course, there were
But in
some changes
Sanskrit,
in European
it does
thinking.
not happen.
And those
And
people
that
who
is
came out
why
with changes,
it gives you the
those who
mathematical
displaced earth as the
expression.
center of the
It gives
gravity,
you the
they were
power
actually
to
imprisoned for
extract the
life,
exact meaning
and they were
which
not
the
even
writer
allowed to
had in
come because they
mind
thought they were
whenever he
telling all the
wrote
lies.
that particular
But
text.
finally, the
So this
truth
is
came
the
out,
beauty of
and it was
Sanskrit
discovered
because
that
of these
the sun is
different tenses
the
and
center of
different
the planet,
vibhaktis or forms which
the
we
solar
call.
system in our case,
Now, this is the
and there are
scientific
9
background of the language, but this is
planets.
not the all the background.
Those
Because
9
firstly,
includes
I am
2
not an
which are
expert
called
in
Rahu
Sanskrit
and
myself.
Ketu, and therefore
Secondly,
there
I
are
have
7 which are
not in a
considered
position to put everything here
important. Rahu
because
and
there are
Ketu are
many
also
more things
considered
which one
planet,
would
but
like
not
to
so important.
discuss, but it is not always
Even
possible.
today,
This was
we
basically to
have the
give you a
same
glimpse
counting in the
of
modern
the
science
science
of the
behind this
planets.
language and
Our
the
Panchang, if
mind
you
which
look at the
invented that
traditional
science.
Panchang in India,
Even the roots of the
you
words,
will
which is
find it
called dhatu,
so
each
detailed
dhatu has its
because we have
own
the
reason
day
for its origin.
calculation
For
based on
example,
Ghadij.
Briya Dhatu.
So
Briya
each
Dhatu is used for
movement
Brahma.
is counted there for the
Briya means
day.
to expand
Then there is a
infinitely.
month which
Brat,
is
Bada
based
Hona.
on lunar
And
movement,
that
that
is the
is
meaning
waxing
involved
and
into
waning of
Briya
the
Dhatu.
moon,
Pat
and
means to
then it is
read, to
converted
study.
into solar
And
year.
from that
So
pat,
every
you
3
take
years you
all
have
the
an extra
letters,
month,
all the
and
words
all
which
the
come in,
adjustments
meaning
are
that.
done.
Just
So
say
this is a very
Pathshala,
sophisticated
it comes
system
from Pat.
which was
Shala,
evolved by
it's
our
Grah,
ancestors
the house,
based on the
and
knowledge
Path
of
is where you
astronomy,
study.
based
Pathshala.
on the movement
Path,
of
Path
different
is the
planets,
lesson which you study.
and different
Pat, Path,
other
Pathshala,
objects
Patyakram,
in the solar system.
all these words
So that is how this
which will
whole
have origin
planetary
from
system
Pat will
was
have that
known to
meaning.
our
It becomes a
ancestors.
family in
You
itself.
can go
There
back
would be
thousands
hundreds
of
of
years
words
in time.
coming from Pat and which will form a
Now
family.
we have 7
Similarly,
days in a week, and they are
with
named
each
after 7 planets,
person who knows
excepting Rahu and Ketu.
the knowledge,
The
like
first
eighth, eighth
day,
is knowledge.
Sunday is
Vidwan,
named after
Vidya,
Sun, that is the
Vidyalaya,
principal planet.
Vidyavan,
And
There was
Monday
a
is
family of words which
named
is
after Moon, which is the
originating from
second
that
most
root,
important planet.
meaning the
Now they
same
call it
thing.
satellite
So
in the
there
modern
are
sense,
more than
but this is
4,000
another planet which
Sanskrit
shines
roots, that
in
is the
the
words,
sky and
and
shines with the
each root
light
has
from the
its
sun,
own
which
family
is
of
also you
words,
will see
and you
mentioned
can
in
expand
some
that
of our
family
ancient,
whenever you want to expand
great
further.
literature.
So this language
So
offers
all
you
these
an
7 days have
infinite
been named after
expansion of
7 planets.
words when you want
If
to
you
do
go
it.
around the
But
world, you will
unfortunately, there are
find
very few scholars
7 days in
of
a week.
Sanskrit
There's
left
no
today
place on
in
the
the
earth where
world,
you find
and
eight
we
days
need
in a
to,
week. No.
uh,
And all the
to
7 days
understand this
have been
language, we
named
need a
after the
very
same seven
developed
planets.
mind.
You can
None
see
of
any
us
language
can
in the
fully
world, you
comprehend
will
this language
find the
today,
same
though we
configuration
are supposed to be
of
the
the planets
intellectual minds of our society,
assigned to each
the
day
people
of
who
the
are
week.
with us on this forum.
So this is
But even
based
those
on the
intellectual
knowledge,
minds cannot grasp
discovered by
the
our
whole language
ancestors
today. So
of
imagine the
astronomy
person,
long back in
the
time.
mind who invented this language.
Now,
That is why they say it must be a super mind. No ordinary mind can invent a language like this. Now, let's
you
go
see
to
some of the most
further down
ancient
to Sanskrit
astronomical
and its
writings.
influence.
There are two of them which are
Now,
very well known,
firstly, I
and the
would like
text
to tell
is
you
still
that all
available.
Indian languages,
There could
to
be
a great
little
extent,
dispute
including Tamil,
about their antiquity,
they have their
but the
roots in
text is
Sanskrit.
available.
Whether
Like
you
I have
take
the text of
Rajasthani
Surya
or you
Siddhant
take
on my
Hindi or
laptop.
you take Braj Bhasha or
And
Gujarati,
I don't have
Marathi,
the text of
Bengali,
Vedanga Jyotisa, but this is
Udiya,
available as well.
Punjabi, you take any
And you can
language in
find
India,
the treatise on these
even
texts
Malayalam,
based
even
of based on
Kannada,
the
they
commentary of
all
our
have their
ancient research.
origin in Sanskrit.
Now, Surya
All the
Siddhanta
basic
is
foundation,
supposed to be
firstly
at least five
the
centuries
letters,
before the Christ,
all the
before the
words,
Christian era.
the structure, the grammar
It
is
actually
based on Sanskrit.
calculates.
Sanskrit is like an ocean,
You will
and you
you
take
will
out a
see
small
all the
little pond out
calculations
of
are
it,
given
and that
here,
becomes, for example,
calculating
Marathi
the
language.
motion,
So that is
orbits,
how
and
it is.
distance of various planets.
Now, people say Tamil
It
is
calculates
different
the
than that,
Earth's
but
diameter to
I
be
have been told by
8,000
profound
miles,
scholars of Tamil
and the modern
that at
science
least
tells it is
40% words in
7,928
Tamil,
miles.
they have
So you
Sanskrit
see
roots.
the calculation
All the
given
names
in
which are
Surya
Tamilian
Siddhant
names,
that
they
time.
have come from Sanskrit.
Then diameter of
Subramanyam,
moon you can
Subramanyam
see
is a Sanskrit word.
2,400 miles.
You
Modern
give me any name
calculation
in
shows
Tamil Nadu, and
2,160 miles.
you will discover that it has a
Distance between
Sanskrit
moon
root.
and earth
So Sanskrit
is
is not completely
described
divorced from
at
Tamil. It has
258,000
somewhat
miles in
different
Surya
structure,
Siddhant.
I can say,
And today's
Tamil,
modern science
but
tells it is
foundation of Tamil
238,000
also is
miles.
rooted in Sanskrit
The
to a great
difference
extent.
is perhaps
And that
because
has
of
been confirmed by many
the
scholars
calculating
recently.
methods prevailing
So
in
these are
those days
not
and
two
prevailing in
different
our
families
days.
as has been
Because
taught
most
by
of the methods and
many
measurements
scholars in
which
the
were used
West.
in the past.
They are creating unnecessary confusion on this issue, which is not true. So that's the first Indian languages. Then we come to Indo-European languages. Now they call Indo-European languages, when you Google it, you will find they say Proto-Indo-European languages. They originated from Proto-Indo-European language. That is what they say. But what is Proto? They don't know what is Proto. Actually, nobody knows that. They have just used that word Proto to create misinformation. Actually, in the Indo-European family, Sanskrit is the only language which is the oldest and which is the most versatile, giving birth to all the languages. So fundamentally, all the European languages, which have 11 groups, these 11 groups are mentioned here. The Balto-Slavic group, that is Latvian and Lithuanian. Then the Celtic group, that is the Breton, Irish, Scottish and Wales. Then Germanic group, that is Dutch, English, German, Danish, Icelandic, Swedish, Norwegian, Yiddish and Afrikaans. Then comes Italic group, French, Italian, Spanish, Catalan and Romanian. Then Slavic group, that is the Czech, Polish, Slovak, Serbian, Russian, Belarusian, Ukrainian, Bosnian, Croatian, Macedonian and Slovenian. Then comes Indo-Iranian group, that is Avestan, Dari, Farsi, Tajik, Kurdish, Pashto and Ascetic. Then the Greek group is the Hellenic, Albanic group is Albanian, Armenian group is Armenian. Then Techorian group is mostly extinct, it doesn't exist anymore, and then Anatolian is Hittite. But last two groups don't exist very much these days. The remaining 9 groups are existing and they have their origin from Sanskrit language. Sanskrit is the mother of all these languages. If you go into the each word of these language, you will find that they have their roots in Sanskrit. I will give you some examples of that in the presentation today. But that will be only a few examples because firstly, I don't know all these languages. Secondly, it is not possible to give you all the comprehensive structure of these languages and how the words originated from Sanskrit, but you will realize it very soon. And this is the language, the region where these languages are spoken. They're called Indo-European languages. All this area has influence of Sanskrit. Sanskrit was the mother language, and then other smaller languages originating from that came into being. You can consider Sanskrit as the ocean, and all others are small ponds which were taken out of Sanskrit and formed into these small ponds of languages. Now let me give you some examples to illustrate how these languages have links with Sanskrit. Now this is relations, me, mine, relations. You will see here Sanskrit word and English word. In Sanskrit we called ma, in English we called me. In Sanskrit we called swa, swa is self, and here it becomes self, swa, self. In Sanskrit we called twa, in actually French it is called tu, in English it becomes you, in Spanish it becomes toi. So it is the same toi which comes. Then matri is mother. Matri in actually if you go to Spanish it is called madre, in French it is called mère, and in English it's called mother. Then pitri is father in Sanskrit, and if you go to Spanish it's called padre. In French, it's called père, and in English, it's called father. It actually comes from pater, father. So how the pitra changed to all that, how twa changed to twa, swa changed to self, ma changed to me. Then brata. Brata is brother. Now brata, and in English it becomes brother with slight change here and there. With time and space and with the people, the pronunciation changes a little bit. Then swasar. Swasar is sister. It becomes sister in English. In French, it's called sor. Sor is swasar, basically more or less similar pronunciation. And then sunu. Sunu is the word for son in Sanskrit, and this is becomes son in English. And duita is daughter. So you see how similar the words are. And those people who study etymology, they will tell you how this word changed from ma to me. They will explain you the science of the change. And that is called etymology, the science of words, how the words are formed. But this is only the one, family of me, my, and all that. Now you see the family of geometry. In Sanskrit, we call cone, and then it becomes what? Octagon, pentagon, and the cone becomes gone. That's it basically. The 5 angles and 6 angles and 4 angles. So that's how it is. Cone becomes gone there. Then miti is measure. Then it becomes metric, meter, measure. This is in Latin. It is called metin. Miti become metin in Latin, and then it comes to metric, meter, measure, like that. So this is how it changes. Then trigonometry, that is three is three, that is three. Cone is the cone, the angle, and miti is measurement. And then it becomes trigonometry. Trigonometry. Then we have ant. Ant is end, or sorry, antar. Antar is difference or the distance between the two. Then you have international, that is antar become inter. Then it becomes interior. So this is how the change has happened. Then you have madhya. Madhya is midpoint, center, madhya. Then it becomes middle, mediocre, moderate. All these words come from madhya. Then ant is end. End is ant, you call it end. It's more or less the same pronunciation, with slight difference. Then gu is earth. Then it actually it in the Greek it's called goos, geos. They pronounce it geos, and we call in Sanskrit gu. So then it becomes geometry, geography. Then we have lok. Lok is the place. We have teen lok, char lok, location, local, locus. All this comes from lok. So this is just an example. There are. Uh, I have a large number of vocabulary which I will explain to you in due course.
First, we will finish the part which we started last time, that is on Sanskrit. And then we will move to what you call astronomy and mathematics. So let us now go back on Sanskrit. We were talking about some words concerning me, mine, and relations, how they are originating from Sanskrit in all the languages, at least the Indo-European languages and Indian languages. Now look at the geometry. We call it cone. Cone is Sanskrit word, and they call it octagon. It has become gone. Pentagon, like the Pentagon building in Washington, it has 5 angles. So that is why they call it 5 pentagon. So that word again comes from Sanskrit. Miti. Miti is the measure in Sanskrit, and then it becomes meter, metric, measure in European languages. We have tricone miti. Tre is the word 3, the numerical 3. Then cone is angle, and miti is measure in 3 different angles, and that becomes trigonometry in other languages of Europe. Antar. Antar we always use, even in Hindi we use the same word antar. इसमें क्या अंतर है? So it's basically inter. It has become international, interior. Just slightly changing from antar to inter. Then madhya. Madhya is the middle point, the center. We use middle, mediocre, moderate. That's all used for the same meaning in European languages. Ant. किसी चीज का अंत हो गया हम कहते हैं हिंदी में, संस्कृत में भी. And then in English we call it end. It the same word slightly modified. Then gu. Gu is earth, and here in this Greek language they call it goose. And then that goose is used for other languages like geography and geometry, that instead of gu it becomes goose, and then it becomes geography and geometry. So this is how it changes. Then lok. In Sanskrit we say 3 lok hai, 4 lok hai. Same thing, lok is basically the place or the habitation. And we have the location, locus, local. These are different words in European languages. Then we go on the numbers, numericals. Ik. Ik becomes equal, that is used for ik. But this 2 to 9 are more, almost intact. Dwi. Dwi is, in French they call it de. In Spanish they call it dos. In English they call it two. And they also use the word dual, double, duo. Then three. We in Sanskrit is tre. It becomes 3 or triple or twa in European languages. Chatur. Chatur is 4, and it basically the pronunciation changes slightly. It becomes quarter. It becomes quadrate. So slight modification happens and it becomes the word same meaning in European languages. Then punch is 5, and then in European languages it becomes pentagon. It is cinq. In French it's called cinq. From punch it becomes cinq. In Spanish it's called cinco. So from punch it becomes cinco. Then sept, that is 7. It becomes septulet, septagon. In French it's called sept. In Spanish it's called septo. So it's more or less the same word. Ast becomes 8, octagon. In Spanish, in French they call it huit, Huit, with 8. And in English we call it 8. Nav is 9 in Sanskrit, and actually it's more or less the same word in English, 9. In French it's called neuf. In Spanish it's called novo. So there's not much of difference. The root is the same. The pronunciation and spelling changes slightly. That has happened with time and space. So you can see all the numericals actually originating from Sanskrit and going to different European languages, of course the Indian languages as well, and also what we call Iranian sect of languages. In that also they have similar meaning. Now next is mind-body complex. The words used in the mind-body complex, this is slightly smaller. Let me make it bigger now. You can see man. Man is the basic word in Sanskrit for man, because the person who has mind, who has man, is called manushya, is also called manav. The same word is used in English, man, in other European languages also. The person who has mind, thinking power, that is called manushya, man, manav in all these languages. We call yuva in Sanskrit the person who is youth, young. It's same word in European languages, youth, young, primarily. Yovan is basically the youth, the time of youth. And this slightly changes and becomes juvenile. Juvenile. Actually, the pronunciation is juvenile original, but later on it became juvenile. Then same thing is manas, mind, man. Mukh is the face, it becomes mouth in English. Kapal is head, it becomes capita, captain, capital. The thing which is at the higher side of the body, that is what is kapal. Bru is brow. Akshi is also word for eye, and then we use it occipital, ocular, and that is for in European languages. Nasika, it becomes nostril, nasal, nose. So you can see how closely they are related to the Sanskrit roots. Dant becomes dental, denture. Rid, the root is rid, that becomes heart. Basically it is also rid in original English, but then gradually it became, the pronunciation changed to heart. Nabi is the central point of the body, and that is the navel. Janu is the niche, and it becomes niche. In French it's called genu. Then pad, you can see pedicure, pedestrian, centipede. These are words coming from pad. Same thing, it's in English it becomes feet, but in French it's called pied, Pied, pied. So it's, coming from the same root. Sweda. Swed is the sweating which we have in our body. So this is sweet, basically sweat. Vamati. Vamati is, you vomit, that same word more or less. Cough. Cough is the same word with different pronunciation. So this is, you see the similarity between the Sanskrit root and the words in the European languages. Now, I have actually a few hundred words with me which belong to different categories, and they originate from Sanskrit root in different European languages. I don't want to put them here because there's a long list of words, and there are variety of words which have been used in there. For example, I give you two examples. Sant. Sant is a Sanskrit word, and it is called saint in English, saint in French, and santo in Spanish. So it is same word. We have nav. Nav is the Sanskrit word for, the vehicle we use for transportation on water. Now navigation comes from there, and in fact there is a word in German which is also called the identical word which is used for large ships. Similarly, we have Vahan. In Sanskrit we call Vahan the transport, the mean of transportation. And in German you see Autobahn. Autobahn means things which are, facilitating your transportation. The auto route or the freeways are called Autobahn in German. So there are lot of words. If you analyze them with the Sanskrit root, you will find there are hundreds of words which have Sanskrit roots and which have changed their pronunciation and spelling slightly because of the difference in time and space. So I would conclude the Sanskrit part here. There are many more things one can talk about, but as you know, my own knowledge of Sanskrit is limited. So I could come out with some of the basics which I have explained to you, and